Well, a very good evening, everybody, and welcome to Delta T Racing. It's Thursday night, so it's time for Division 2 this week, coming from Silverstone in Great Britain for round number 7. We've got a one-shot qualification in the sprint race, followed by a one-shot qualification and a full race. So, right, let's jump on board. Who's going to likely be near the top? Let's stay on board with Daniel, I think, and we'll see how he gets on this lap. Runs a little bit wide there, so loses some time, but manages to keep a decent pace. I'm actually going to jump on board with Hummer because he does have good pace in qualifying. A couple of incidents during the races this year, but still up there with the best of this division. Obviously, as you saw on the tables, Bogorowski currently leading the Division 2 Championship by 5 points, I think, from F1 Johnny, who tonight is J5 Gaming. I'm not sure if that's going to be a forward thing or not, but I'm going to stick with F1 Johnny for tonight. So Hummer now coming around. I'm just waiting to see. I haven't seen any times come up. But Hummer currently in second. Daniel managing to keep slightly ahead. Hummer now dropping into third. Hammer's popping it up into provisional pole position at the moment. But obviously changing sector, well, corner by corner, to be honest with you. So here we go. Daniel now coming around towards the end of the lap and pops across the line and does get pole position 128.096. Oh, second place for Hummer. So Daniel taking pole position and Hummer in second. We'll get the official results up now. So Daniel taking pole position for the sprint race. Hummer in second place, joining him on the front row of the grid. Then we have Hammers and Kavolis in fourth. Kavolis, I have to admit, it's been very, very strong the last few races, so I'm expecting a good outing from him again today. Championship leader Bogorowski in fifth, with Wazza in the Mercedes in sixth. Then we have F1 Johnny in seventh, with Brother Adam in eighth. Then in ninth, Ralph Albers, and 10th, Scully. 11th, double. 12th, composite. And then 18, 19, and 20. So I'm assuming that will be 13, 14, and 15. So Skipper, Kazingle, and Connor getting disqualification there. So we'll start from the back of the grid. Okay, so into sprint race. Can't remember how many laps. I think it's 9 laps, but I might be wrong. We'll get that up in just a minute. But very, very close between the top 3 in qualifying, separated by 0.080. So very, very close. I'll give a big shout out to Scully as well for his first ever podium last week. A fine third position behind F1 Johnny and Bogorowski, so his first podium appearance. So many congratulations. He's been improving a lot over the last year, and good to see him actually getting some recompense for his hard work. So we'll keep an eye on him today and see what kind of performance he's going to pull out for us at Silverstone. So we're just waiting for the drivers now to pick their setups. I think the majority are going to go for the soft tyres, looking at last night's race. Division 1 was a good race, actually. Some incidents, some accidents, some good overtaking, but very, very close racing. Pretty much, I think we were bunched, had about 3 bunches in the end that were pretty much together. So yeah, fingers crossed tonight we will get the same. Right, let's get the spectator menus fired up. Track map on there, and we'll go the position changes just for the first lap, but we'll get rid of that for the moment. Okay, so tyre wise, let's have a look, see what everybody went for. Now, if I can find, I tell you what, let's get on the right thing. So tyres, everybody going for the softs, so no real surprises there. They will last. Be a little bit worse for wear, maybe the last lap, but adequate enough for the sprint race, so no need to go for the mediums really. So running through the grid again, we have Daniel and Hummer on the front row of the grid. Hammers and Cavolis on row number 2. Row number 3 will be Bog and Wazza. Row number 4, F1 Johnny and brother Adam. Ralph there getting disqualified. I wonder if he has... I think he might have had a small incident with double there as both of them being disqualified. Not from the race, just means that they don't complete the formation lap, so we'll have colder tyres. Where were we? We were on row number 5, which was Ralph and Scully. Row number 6, double and composite. Row number 7, Skipper and Kazingle. And row number 8 on his own at the moment. Havoc Connor again showing good pace this season. So I think he will work his way through this field. Obviously, the main race, or sprint qualification, a one-shot qualification, and then the full race to follow is where he'll be looking at picking up a lot of the points. But try and get himself up into the top 8 here, see if he can pick himself up a point. But Connor picking up a win as well during the week. So he again will be pretty high on confidence. So right, let's jump back to the beginning. So Daniel now settling into his grid position, Hummer as well. So Connor will be the last person to join. And we are front of the grid. Are we going to get a better picture? No, we're not. So let's jump on board with Hammers, and we are go. And a fairly good start by the front 3. Pretty much everyone keeping a similar gap and keeping their position. So there's nothing to report going through the first couple of corners, which is good to see. So brother Adam and Skipper exchanging a few positions, but I just want to keep an eye on what is going on up front. So Daniel keeping the lead, Hammers up into second place, so jumping past Hummer into the first couple of corners, and now looking to make a move on the inside of Daniel for the lead of the race. Little bit of tyres just getting caught up ever so much there, but luckily no one. Oh, we've got a spinner on the inside. That was Wazza, I think. Or maybe it wasn't. I think it might have been Johnny actually a little bit further back. I'm sure he will tell us at the end, but looks like the McLaren's dropping back ever so slightly. I say Hammer was going for the lead of the race on the inside of Daniel, but unfortunately, who is that out? That is Wazza out this time. I say out, having a spin, and will join the back of this long train. But up front, we have Daniel keeping the lead ahead of Hummer. Hammers in third as they were looking for a move on the lead, just getting caught up on the inside. Ended up losing a couple of positions, getting forced out wide. Bog making his way up into fourth with Ralph in fifth and F1 Johnny in sixth currently. We will keep an eye on here where we've got the two championship leaders at the moment. Borowski in fourth and F1 Johnny one place, the 2 places behind, obviously Ralph Albers in between them. But Johnny is coming under increasing pressure from Cavolis, and then we've got brother Adam not far back either. So this field is still very bunched up. Scully having a bit of a fight going on around the back here with Composite. I think Composite taking that position at the moment. Wazza looking for a move around the outside of Connor. And he does. He makes that stick. So going down into the last turn, he will look at keeping that. So Cavolis and Johnny now fighting away as Hummer posts the fastest lap of the race so far. We're on to lap number 3 of 9. Cavolis now past Johnny. Johnny down into 7th place. We'll be looking at sort of damage limitations here. Try and hang on to some points. Bogorowski currently up in 4th. We'll get a couple of points. Obviously not huge amounts for the sprint race, and no benefit for the fastest lap either, so you don't get a point for the fastest lap. But you will do in the main race as long as you finish within the top 10. We're starting to get a little bit closer at the top. Get some nice helicopter views today, which is good to see. But Daniel leading from Hummer still, and Hammer's all in a small little train there. Then we've got a little bit of a gap to Bog. Managing to keep just within that DRS zone, which is so important. If he loses that, he will drop seconds after seconds. Scully picking up a 3-second time penalty on lap number 3. So Hammer's sitting in just behind this top 3. Bog just dropping outside of that second now, but he's just back in it. Oh, he's teetering on the edge of it. Needs to try and keep that within a second if he can. Hummer popping in another fastest lap of the race, 129.330. And is putting increasing amount of pressure onto Daniel. In fact, so much that he is past him, so completely missed that. But Hummer up into the lead, so if we see if he can use the pace of his Red Bull to pull away from the Racing Bull. With the 2 McLarens just behind. Bog did manage to pull that back within DRS zone, as are the top 9, to be honest with you, all within DRS of each other. So pretty close so far. Lap number 4. Almost halfway. At the end of next lap we will be halfway. And these 2 at the front are having a nice little tussle. So Daniel should get the benefit, well, we'll have the benefit of the DRS here. We'll be using some of his ERS and we'll go for the move. And just behind we had the McLaren's looking at potentially changing positions there, but Daniel does make the move back for the lead of the race. So taking advantage of that DRS and the ERS to make the move on Hummer. Hammers and Bogorowski close behind. And we've got Ralph Cavolis, F1 Johnny, Brother Adam, Skipper and Double make up the top 10. Connor recovering so far up to 11th from the back of the grid. Wazza has sort of been a bit of a yo-yo, was up there and then down the back and is now making his way back through the field up into 12th position. Excuse me. Looks like Wazza and Composite were battling away there. But Composite, I think, coming out better of that and keeping the position. So penalty wise, we've got Connor and Scully currently. I think it's just 3 seconds. Is anything too bad? Yeah, just 3 seconds. But I say just 3 seconds, that could be the difference between, if you're looking at the top view, it would be a difference between first and dropping you all the way down into 8th or 9th position. So Hummer making the move there, again using the DRS. So really you want to try and be behind if you can. Daniel making a move up the inside, but lots of late breakers there going for the inside. Little bit late on the brake. Hummer getting a snap of understeer there, and Hammer's taking advantage, looking to make the move around the outside. The 2 abreast going up towards turn number 3 into that's Farm, sorry, and heading up towards Chapel. And Hammer's getting forced out wide there by Hammers. I'm not sure there was an awful lot of space was given there, whether it was a lock-up of wheels, not 100% sure on the commentary, but unfortunate for Hummer, losing pretty much, well, top 2 position, which Bogorowski now takes, obviously, with Hammers and Hummer having a bit of Mingle losing a little bit of time. Bog and Ralph have got their way past, although I think Hammers will be looking at making that position back as quick as he can. Not sure if he's got any damage, difficult to tell. We have a look. No, it looks like he's got both end plates, so I don't think there was any damage for him there. Hummer is still racing, currently in 10th position. So he needs to make up just a couple of places and he can get himself back up in the points, but this is quite hectic as we get a bit further back. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars all battling away here. But looking good for the McLarens. So Ralph and Cavolis there. Okay, so what have we got? Kazingle and Havoc. So Connor back up into 11th. Big gap now to Hummer. So I think that could be pretty much where he stops. Hummer is on the hunt of double, but then with Skipper just ahead of him, but then a big gap further up. But let's jump back to the front and see what's going on. Bogorowski in 2nd place. And has managed to close the gap ever so slightly on Daniel ahead, so he is within DRS, so needs to keep that as best he can. Going through Beckett's and Chapel, and hopefully he'll be able to close down on the hangar straight, but he needs to hang on to that 1 second gap. Hammers has dropped out of that now, so he's going to be coming under pressure from Ralph Cavolis, F1 Johnny and Brother Adam as well. But Hammers there moving out of, or not allowing the people behind him to have a draft. You're not allowed to weave on the start or on any of the straights. You're allowed to make one change of direction, and that is it. So we've seen a little bit of weaving on some occasions down the straights. That is not allowed to break the toe, not anymore. So right, further down, Skipper. Johnny not having a great race today, I have to admit, down in 6th place. But I think Kazingle's retired. What's happened to Jack? Jack. Where has Jack retired? So Kazingle out of the race, must have been around that last corner. So again, I'm not sure if he was involved in this composite incident or whether it was just something on his own. Right, so Hummer now back up into the points, has made his way back up into 8th, and I see no reason why he can't get past double in front. And then, as I say, Johnny would probably be his last target. We've got a lap and a half of this race left to go. They're looking so good for Hummer at one point. So I'm not sure what went on between him and Hammers, but there was a bit of contact. It affected both of them, but Hummer losing out more than Hammers, but managing to recover and at least is sitting in the points at the moment. And here's Hummer looking for a move around the outside of double. So double giving just about enough space to Hummer there. Certainly didn't make it easy. It wasn't a matter of there you go, there's the door, it's wide open, off you go. Made him fight for it, and double now doing a bit of grass cutting. But we'll jump back to the front because Bog has closed that gap to within 4/10. If he could stay there along the Wellington Straight here up through Brooklands, Woodcott, Copse, Beckett's, Chapel, and then make a move on to the hangar straight. Last lap of the race. So Bog's having a very, very good season. May not be the quickest driver out there, but it certainly has pace when he needs it. But what he does have is consistency and racecraft, and that is holding him in a very, very good position. And so at the moment he will be looking at extending his championship lead over F1 Johnny. So the 2nd place and the 6th place, I'm quite sure of the points on this, to be honest, but I think it's going to be about a 6-point gain. With a 5-point gap already, he's going to give him an 11-point lead, potentially going into the feature race. There we go. I think Bog is content to settle for second place, or is he? He nearly took it at the final there. So Daniel taking the win. Bogorowski in second. Hammers coming home third. Kavolis in fourth. Ralph Albers bringing it home in fifth. Johnny is going to come home in sixth. Hummer recovering to seventh. Then we've got Skipper in eighth. Ninth will be Brother Adam. Connor will come across the line in 10th, but does have penalties. Is he going to drop? He is double moving up to 10th. Connor down to 11th. Wazza coming home in 12th position. Scully in 13th, and Composite will be the final finisher to come home. Lap 14 with Jack Kazingo unfortunately retiring. It was lap number 7. So big congratulations to Daniel there, a pole to flag victory. Wasn't quite as easy as that, obviously with Hummer putting some pressure under him, Hammers being up there as well, Bog putting the pressure on at the end. But Daniel keeping his head and bringing home 8 points for the Racing Bull. So Daniel taking the win. Bogorowski in second, Hammers in third, Kavolis fourth, fifth Ralph Albers, sixth F1 Johnny, seventh Hummers, and eighth and the final points finisher of the day is Skipper. Then finishers, we've got Brother Adam double in 10th, Connor in 11th, 12th Wazza, 13th Scully, 14th Composite, and 15th DNF of Scully. So just having a look here, yeah, it's 4-point difference between, so 9-point gap Bog is going to take into the feature race. But next up, we are going to have our second one-shot qualifying of the evening, and it's wet, it's raining. Well, it's going to put a cat amongst the pigeons. Is it going to be dry for the whole race? Is it going to be dry just for part of the session? We will wait and see. Right, who are we going to jump on with on this lap? We've had Hammers, Hammer. I think I might try and find Kavolis actually and see what time he puts in. Had the fastest lap of the sprint race, so has obviously got himself into the groove. And I think with wet weather, he might find himself pretty much up there. But we'll wait and see in a moment. So 15 seconds and we will start the one-shot qualification. And here we are. Right, okay, where's Kavolis? Let's jump on with him. It's horrible trying to pick a car here. Right, so Kavolis, let's see how he gets on. Say in 11th at the moment, but working his way up. Obviously, it is real timing, so bit by bit we will see the times changing. Kavolis, as I say, looking strong in third position at the moment. Daniel currently quickest, so still a long way to go on this circuit. With Connor looking strong as well in the Williams, and Skipper second. Whoa, bit of a tank slapper there by Kavolis. That is going to drop him down the grid quite a bit. The Bog and Hammers 10th and 11th, so they're not liking the rain, but I don't know what the conditions are going to be, whether it is going to be completely wet for the race, whether it's going to dry up in qualifying. Sorry, for the race. Jack currently looking at the front there, but Kavolis is making up some time, but let's just see if anyone can make up any time in these last corners. Connor seemed quite comfortable in the wet. We'll see what he can do around this final turn, and pops himself into third position. Daniel taking back-to-back pole positions at Silverstone with the sprint race and now in the feature race. And I'll run through the rest of the grid in a minute. So Daniel taking his second pole position of the day. This one will count on his stats. It's not a Mikey pole. Kazingle taking second place and Connor in third. So after a bad qualifying for the sprint race at the back of the grid, Connor up into third. Brother Adam in fourth. Fifth goes to F1 Johnny. In sixth, we got Cavolis. Seventh, Hummer. Eighth, Skipper. Ninth, we have Hammers. 10th, Scully. Wazza in 11th. Bogorovsky struggling down in 12th position there. 13th, go to Ralph. 14th, Composite. And 15th, going to Double. So we will be back shortly for the start of the feature race. And we'll see if we can get some exciting racing today.
Well, the tension is building here at the circuit as the start of today's Formula One Grand Prix draws ever nearer. What drama awaits us between now and the checkered flag? Well, we'll be finding out in just a few moments' time. Silverstone Circuit then is 3.6 miles long, has a total of 18 corners, and of course is no stranger to the rain. There won't be any DRS available in these conditions, but the Wellington and Hangar Straights are still good opportunities to tuck into the slipstream and make a pass.
Well, welcome back everybody. We are just starting the formation lap. So just looking at the tyres, we've got a mixture of softs and mediums, but in case you hadn't noticed, we have a dry start to the race. Whether it's going to stay that way or not, we will wait and see, but a dry start to the race. Looking at the tyres, the front two on the softs and row two on the mediums. Then we've got Johnny and Cavolis in fifth and sixth, both on the softs. Hummer on the soft. Skipper going for the mediums. Hammers and Scully on the softs. Wazza mediums, and everybody else, Bogorovsky, Ralph, Composite, and Double, all on the soft tyres. So a one-stop strategy here. Normally softs to medium or medium to softs, but you do obviously still have the potential of pitting if there's an early safety car taking the hards to the end of the race. So Daniel will be looking for a good evening, obviously having pole position already and the win in the sprint race, pole position in the feature race. I'm sure he'll be looking at trying to add the win as well to it. Daniel obviously previously known as Dr. Kitchen, so not new to the division or to DTR. So got a few name changes this year. A few returning drivers as well. See J5 Gaming in fifth, which is F1 Johnny, was Nerdy Average Gamer. Fantastic to have him back, lovely guy, and a pleasure to have him back. Obviously we'll be streaming himself tonight, so you can always pop up a second screen and watch his stream at the same time as this one. Hammers and Scully both getting disqualified, I think just overshooting their grid position ever so slightly, so we are just waiting for the lights. So 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights are out and away we go, and a decent start there by Brother Adam. Managed to get a decent launch. Right, what have we got going on? Anything into turn numbers 1 and 2? No, again, looks pretty well behaved. We have, I think it was a Ferrari going a little bit wide there. It might have been a Red Bull. My eyes are deceiving me. So Hammers straight on the attack. And makes the move, battling away with Johnny there, but manages to get past Hummer. So Hammers up into 7th place. F1 Johnny in 6th, coming under increasing pressure from Hammers. So Kavolis making a move. Oh, sorry, Hammers. No! Contact there. So Johnny unfortunately spun out. A little bit of contact with Hammers there. So I don't think anyone was to blame. I think it was just a racing incident, but I'm sure we'll find out after the race. But unfortunate for Johnny, putting him to the back of the grid. Still a long way to go though, 26 laps in this race. So he can certainly recover. If you look at the likes of Hummer recovering in the sprint race, it is possible here. And obviously with the pit stop strategy as well, potential safety cars can still make up those positions. So Daniel still leading, Kavolis very, very close behind him. Connor quite happy to just sit there on those medium tyres as well. So if he can keep hold of the guys in front, it will put him in a good position a little bit later in the race. Okay, let's get rid of those tyres now. Position changes, not a huge amount other than really Johnny losing out 10 places, dropping down. Hammers is up 3, Ralph up 2, double up 2, but apart from that, it's been pretty static on this opening lap. I'm sure that will change the further in we go. Right, so let's get rid of the position changes and have a look at some of the racing. Right, a bit further back, looks like Waz are going to make a move on Skipper. Got much better drive coming onto the hanger straight. Obviously with DRS as well, managed to use it a bit further back. Bog having a bit of a battle there with Ralph, but obviously everything being kept clean there. So Daniel picking up the fastest lap of the race. Could just jump on board with Kavolis for a while. But keep an eye on everything that is happening around him. But Kavolis, as I say, has showed really good pace in the last few races. So if he can continue that and maybe just find a little bit more... Bit of a lock up there by Brother Adam. If he can just find a bit of consistency and perhaps a bit of luck as well, then I think he could well be a challenger. Obviously starting the second half of the season now, round number 7 of 12. We have 3 sprint races in the second half of the season. So Kavolis losing out a little bit there with Brother Adam. I think 2 do not go going into that corner. And Kavolis being on the outside lost out, so lost a couple of positions there. Daniel and Kazingle exchanging positions. I think Jack had to go for it because Connor is closing right up on the back of him now. I think it was a matter of he needs to make that move and try and get a break if he can. So Kazingle up into first position. Daniel just behind him, Connor in 3rd position. And we've got a bit of a gap back to Hammers, but Hammers is starting to break away slightly from Brother Adam now. So if he can do that, I think he does have the pace to close in on the back of this grid. Teammate Bogrovsky down in 10th, made up a couple of positions. But slow and steady for him is the way to go. See Hammers there pulling out. 2 reasons there. A, to not allow the slipstream to Brother Adam behind, but also, I don't know if you noticed on this F1 game, there's an awful lot of bumps around Silverstone, and approaching the bridge on the Wellington straight, it is very, very bumpy. If you manage to come inside a car's width, then it's a lot smoother and you don't lose quite as much time. So a bit of a tip there. One on the start-finish line, I think, as well. But that's one you either hit it or you don't. So Hammer has now closed that gap down. Connor, I think, must have made a slight mistake because he has now dropped a second or so, well, nearly 2 seconds behind this lead duo. And Daniel there making a move up the inside. Did that in the sprint race. Seems to like that, the area of making a, I wouldn't say a dive, but a late break down into Vale. Up the inside and then pretty much go around the outside of Club onto the start-finish line and maintain that position. So good driving there from Daniel. So still a long way to go. We're on lap number 5 of 26. So let's have a little bit further down. See, oh, we've got a spinner. Who's that? Who spun? Oh, Connor. Was losing a bit of time, Connor. I wonder if I don't think he's got any damage, but I'm just wondering if he's just struggling a little bit at this phase with his tyres. But still a long way to go. I'm sure he can still come back and challenge. But these two at the front battling away. I expect Jack to make a move again down the Hanger Straight. I think this could be one of those races where the lead is going to change on several occasions. Here we go down the Hanger Straight. So Jack will have his DRS open. So ERS of Daniel not going to do much on that occasion. So he's just going to have to sit behind it. Is he going to go for another cutback move up the inside? He does. Very, very late on the brakes there. But manages to keep the position. So basically, if you have that car behind you of Daniel and you want to keep that position, you're going to need to hug the inside approaching turn number 16, which is Vale. Otherwise, he is going to be very, very late on the brakes. And take the position back on you. Right, okay, so brother Adam in 4th. Still keeping in touch of... Jack has gone ahead again, this time down the Wellington Straight. So it seems to me that he can make those moves on the straights, but he's just got to be careful of Daniel, who is very, very comfortable on the brakes. Looks like he is in the Racing Bull, perhaps a Danny Ricciardo, so it could be the Ricciardo of old, the Demon late breaker of the Honey Badger. But I don't think Daniel will need to this time because he should make the move down the Hanger Straight. Unless Jack decides to make the same move going down into Vale that Daniel has done for over the last couple of laps. So Daniel does take the lead. I think Jack allowed that to happen. Is he going to go for a move up the inside? He's not. I think Jack's just content to sit there in 2nd place. So lap number 6 of 26. So a hell of a long way to go in this race. You certainly don't want to make any rash decisions that are going to spin you and pop you at the back. Got a group of 4 here. Then we've got a pretty big gap back to Wazza, over 4 seconds. And Wazza himself has Connor and Bogorovsky behind him. And then a little bit of a gap again out to Ralph and Skipper. F1 Johnny in 12th, so he's recovering slightly, making his way back. Back to the front, changing leads pretty much straight after straight. So here we go through Beckett's and Chapel on to the Hanger Straight. We can see Daniel's going to open up his DRS and is gonna disappear past. In the background, Hammer's losing a position to Brother Adam and now has Hummer close up his backside. Just want to watch Daniel to see if he goes for a late break again, which he does. Oh, bit of a tank slapper there by Daniel, but keeps the position with Kazingle. I think Kazingle might have just tapped the back of him, but hasn't got any damage, so we are good to go there. Hammer's losing another position to Hummer and then getting it back again, saying no thank you very much, I don't want to lose another position to you today. But these two had a bit of a tangle in the first race, or in the sprint race. And here is Hummer moving up the inside. Cavolis looking for a late move as well. Don't think he's going to get it though. He does not. So Hammer's down into 5th place. Hummer up into 4th. Brother Adam closing like a billio. Gap down to under a second now, and he's bringing the rest of the field with him. So we are potentially now going to have top 6 all within DRS of each other. And then a 3-second gap back to Wazza, where the Wazza can then drag Connor and Bogorovsky towards that lead group as well. Once it gets bunched up, obviously the times are going to drop ever so slightly, especially with these front two battling straight after straight after straight. Just dropping outside of that DRS. So I think his tyres might be starting to scream a bit. I'm not quite sure of the pit or the laps of the tyres, but I'm sure he's probably getting towards the end of the lifespan of the softs. So you'll probably see people making pit stops soon onto those mediums. Front two have now pretty much become a front three, with the Ferrari of Brother Adam joining on to the duo to make a trio. But Hammers is still there, and he's bringing Hummer Cavolis with him. Right at the front, we're going to have another change for the lead here. Would not be surprised, and yes we will. Jack has got DRS, not using much ERS, but doesn't really need it and takes a comfortable lead. And I'm sure we'll see Daniel here going for a move down the inside, or Jack I think went a little bit defensive on the inside there just to put Daniel off making that move. And then Jack deciding to drift it round club rather than drive. Obviously losing some grip off of those back tyres now. Okay, so a bit further down, how are we getting on? Championship leader Bog in 7th place, so has made up a few positions, working his way up the grid. And I'll be honest, he's not that far off of the back of this group. I say not far, 3 seconds, but if the front group start fighting, then he could quite easily find himself onto the back of this group. Although, whoa, Wazza getting a bit of a tap there from Connor. I think again 2 into 1, just not going in there. But Wazza coming off worse and back down into 12th position. So Jack does indeed keep the lead. I've no doubt Daniel will look at making the move down the hangar straight and into Stowe. Jack keeping the position now. I don't know if he used a lot of ERS or not. He's not too bad on ERS. Daniel pretty comfortable with his, hasn't used too much. Brother Adam the same, just behind. So let's jump to, oh, And Daniel does go for a move along the start-finish line into Abbey. So Daniel back into the lead. I'm not quite sure how many lead changes we've had. Obviously with the same couple of drivers, but it has been pretty much lap after lap. We've had at least one, if not two changes. So almost back to the MotoGP standard of racing. So we do now have a group of 5. Cavoli's just a second further back, so I don't think it'll be long before he can pull himself up. Bog's still 3 seconds back, but man, I think he's closed it down by 2 or 3 tenths of a second. But probably coming under pressure from Connor as well. Connor will obviously look at trying to get as far up as he can, whether the two can work together to close in this front 6, I am not sure. But Daniel now being overtaken inside by Jack. Is it gonna stick? No, it's not. So right, we've got pitters coming in. So Jack is the first to pull the pin, so he will be looking at trying to get an undercut, I would have thought, on Daniel, who has continued. Very confusing here because obviously the pit lane cuts out the final sort of 3 corners, so all of a sudden you jump up in the first position, then drop your way down. So we're just going to see where Jack returns. We've had the 2 McLarens also pitting. Hammers and Bogrovsky obviously not double stacking. There was enough of a gap between them. So Jack is going to come out in 9th place. Hammers is going to come out in 10th. Now, is Bog going to get out before Scully? No, he isn't. So Bog down into 12th. Wazza picking up his customary time penalty. So here's a worry if you go a race weekend without Wazza picking up a time penalty. So Daniel leading with Brother Adam and Hummer behind. Let's have a quick look at the tyres again, because I'm not sure which of these front runners, Brother Adam it was that was on the mediums, as well as Connor a little bit further back. So Brother Adam in a pretty good position, just literally behind Daniel. Oh, was nearly spun into. But also Daniel now comes into the pit, so he'll be looking at covering Kazingal, and Hammers literally within a second of Kazingal as well. So this could be an undercut for the pair of them. Obviously it's still quite well, I say easy to overtake around here. It seems to be today. We've seen a lot of overtakes done in the along both straights, the Hammers, Wellington Straight and the Hangar Straight. So Daniel, where is he going to come out? Jack now coming round into turn number 1, so round Abbey up towards Farm, and he has jumped him, so has Hammers as well. So the undercut has worked for them there. Daniel still needing to warm up those tyres. Hummer as well needing to warm up his after just making a pit stop. So where are we? So Bogorowski down in 11th position at the moment, but as I say, we still do have an awful lot of people needing to make their pit stop. So top 2 in the championships, currently 10th and 12th in this race. So he's not been great for them. But as we said before, still a long way to go. Anything can happen, and it quite often does. So the 2 medium starters now leading the race, first and second, Brother Adam and Havoc Connor. I think Ralph as well started on the mediums. No, he started on the soft. So Ralph is actually coming in now to ditch those, taking them 1 lap further than anybody else. And now we are down to the medium runners versus the have pitted. Skipper there up into 3rd position. Just gonna have a quick look back So we have field stretching out ever so slightly. They've got pretty much over 1 second gaps between most people, whereas we were under 1 second. So no DRS advantage. I'm just keeping an eye back on this group because I think, you know, this is the battle for the lead really, with Jack, Hammers, Daniel and Hummer. So Bog has closed that gap down to Hummer now. Well, 3.3 was a little bit bigger than that, but back up into 8th position for Bog, so looking at scoring at least a couple of points there. And with Johnny not scoring, currently in 12th, that would be a further extension of his lead from 5 to 9, plus an extra couple of points. Be looking at 11 point lead going into round number 8 if it stays the same. And we have the pit stops. Connor now pitching, Skipper now pitching, so they're dumping those medium tyres. Look, go on softs until the end of the race, which will be sort of 12 laps for them. Daniel now closing on the back of Hammers. I'm not sure Hammers will make it quite as easy for him to overtake on the straights as Jack did ahead. So let's jump on board with Daniel. Bog now back up into 6th position. Johnny still outside the points in 11th, 5 seconds behind Cavolis. Daniel does make the move around the outside of Stowe on Hammers and is back up into, well, currently 3rd position, but it will be 2nd position once Brother Adam has pitted, which he does now. So Brother Adam come in, will get rid of those medium tyres, go on to soft, so he is going to be quick for the last few laps. As he come out just ahead of Bogorovsky, but needs to get those tyres warmed up as quick as he can. Okay, so Hammers holding on to the back of Daniel, who has closed Kazingle down quite easily, to be honest with you. It looks like Daniel is the most comfortable driver out there today, has been quick in, as I say, qualifying, taking pole position, but also quick during the races as well. Bog now right up behind Brother Adam and has Connor just behind him. A good drive out of the corner there by Connor. And he makes the move past Bogorovsky. So Connor up into 6th position. Who else have we got going up here? Right, let's get back to this lead battle, because Daniel is closed, or has closed on the back of Kazingle. So I can see him going for a move again down the hanger straight. Let's see how many more laps of late braking he has left going into Vale. Turn number 16 seems to be a favourite of his, up the inside, late braking and taking turn number 16 on the inside, slightly ahead, and then 17 and 18 puts him ahead onto the start finish line. So looking pretty comfortable, but these top three now starting to fight. I think Jack is holding up Daniel ever so slightly, which has brought Hammers back into it. So we're going to have a three-way battle for the lead. Lap number 17. We have 10 laps, including the one that we are on. Go Daniel looking for the move early. Got such good drive coming out of Beckett's and Chapel there, and pretty much made the move on Kazingle before the DRS was even opened. But Hammer's also making the move, so Jack losing 2 positions on that straight, dropping from first to third position. And Daniel, this is really where you now need to put your foot down and drive away. Just try and break that 1 second gap if you can. Johnny making his way past Cavolis up into 9th position. So battling his way back into the points, currently with 2 points. So minimising the points extension that Bog will have by finishing ahead of him. Whoa, Connor. I think he might have just outbroke himself there. Not 100% sure, but he's battling side by side with Brother Adam. It's going to be good for Bog if these two tangle a little bit. He will look at making the most of it. But they seem to have settled down again a bit at the moment. So just jump up here as Hammers makes his way past Daniel. We'll see if Daniel's going to go for a move again back into up the inside. He does not, because I think Hammers knows about that. So Daniel just decides to drive around the outside instead. Forces Hammers a little bit out there. I'm not sure there was too much wrong with that. Just good hard racing. But has dropped Hammers back ever so slightly now. So 3/4 of a second behind. Daniel doesn't need to find too much to be able to push himself out of the DRS window, but then saying that, having a bit of a loose moment at the back end there. I'm talking about the tyres, not about anything else. And the gap is down to half a second again. So we've got 3 very close in first to third. Then we've got Hummer basically pretty much in no man's land. Then we've got Brother Adam, Connor and Bogorovsky in a trio for 5th position. And a 10-second gap to Ralph in 8th. Johnny a further 2.5 seconds back, and Cavolis pretty much 3 seconds further back as well. So right, who are we going to see take the lead down this start-finish line? So Hammer's going for the inside. Daniel giving a bit of a squeeze, but I think realising there is no point because Hammers just has the pace to get past him. Is Daniel going to go for a move up the inside again? He does. Oh, another tank slapper there, and Hammers makes a dive up the inside. And they're going to go side by side into turn 1. Abbey is not always the best place to be, but Hammers does keep the position ahead of Daniel. So up through coming round Farm on to the Wellington Straight. Daniel losing another position there. I think perhaps just overcooking it ever so slightly, making a mistake, overdriving the car and dropping himself down a couple of positions. So he will resume his battle with Kazingle, but Hammers now has a 1 second gain out front, so he's out of the DRS zone. So he will be looking at trying to pull away as best he can. Has teammates battling away? No, they're not. Scully into the pits for a new wing. Not been a good weekend for Scully at Silverstone after his last race, picking up the podium. But There's always next week. You live to fight another week. Hammer's 1.1 seconds clear, so has managed to keep himself out of the DRS zone. And Jack 1.2 seconds behind. Daniel still staying behind him, as if Daniel's going to go for one of his infamous dives up the inside. He thought about it, but it's just too far back. But the field is starting to come together again. Hummer's 1.8 behind Daniel, he's closing that. Brother Adam 1.9 behind Hummers, he's been closing that. Then we've got Connor and Bog being brought along with Brother Adam as well. So we could see this close up quite a lot. Well, mind you, we've got 5.5 laps to go, so perhaps not. I was thinking there was a bit more than that. So Daniel has a penalty as well. Where did he pick up that penalty? Was that corner cutting? Yeah, so 3 seconds. Connor with 6, everybody else with 3 seconds. So that is pretty much going to put pay to Daniel's chances of back-to-back victories at Silverstone. But then you still want to put the drivers in front under as much pressure as you can, because there's the potential that they too will pick up a 3-second penalty. And then the race is back on again. Jack getting really out of shape there coming out of Chapel. And Daniel making the most of it and making the move around the inside. And Jack will just sit there for the moment. So 1.6 seconds is the gap to race leader Hammers. That is what Daniel needs to close down. We have a yellow. Why do we have a yellow? I think that was either Scully or Composite, I think, but not 100% sure. Right, okay, so Bog patiently in 7th. Skipper and Cavolis chopping positions there. Cavolis actually coming into the pits now. I think he's had enough of those tyres. Probably go for a fresh set of softs to take him to the end of the race and try and pump in a fastest lap if he can and get into the points. Wazza also into the pits. Don't tell me it's another front nose Wazza. I'm going to run out of them. Right, what tyres has he gone on to? So we've got soft, mixture of mediums and soft. Pretty much majority on mediums, but we've got 2, 4, 5 on the softs. So it'll be interesting to see how they progress a little bit later in the race. So gap at the front, still around about that 1.1 seconds, so just outside of the DRS. But look at this behind. Hummer now has company. Brother Adam, Connor and Bogarowski have all closed on to the back of him, and just up the road there you can see Jack just disappearing around Abbey at turn number 1. So that gap is coming down 2.2 seconds between 3rd and 4th. Then we have a pretty big gap back to Ralph of 13 seconds. As a one safety car, it is completely gone, but we have 3.5 laps left to go. Hammers looking at picking up. Could it be his first win this year? I'm not sure if Hammers has won a race this year. Obviously, he has had lack of practice time and been able to make unable to make a few races due to his new arrival in his family. Also the fact he's going to be moving soon, so probably 2 of the most stressful things you can do in your life. Hammers and his wife decide to do it all at the same time, get it out of the way. So this would be a welcome result for him. Obviously in the constructors as well, be very good for McLaren. Williams were leading the Constructors' Championship, so this would be a good chance for them to close those points up on them. behind brother Adam. Bog just behind. Bog won't look at making too many risks, and obviously with Connor behind him with 3 seconds as well. I think if Connor starts fighting him, Bog will be only too pleased to let Connor go, knowing that as long as he sticks within that 3 seconds of him, he will be fine. Jack struggling ever so slightly there. Looks like his Mercedes is a little bit on ice, but manages to keep up with Daniel, who's now 1.4 seconds behind Hammers. So Hammers just eking out that lead ever so slightly at the front, just pulling it away. But then we're saying that it's now down to 1.1, so I think it might have been a slight loss of traction by Hammers, potentially going onto the old start-finish line into Cops. Just pretty much a flat-out corner. And then we go through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel onto the Hangar Straight for the 24th time out of 26. One of my favourite circuits, Silverstone. I have to admit, I think it suits my driving. One of those tracks. There's an awful lot that don't, but this is one that I do feel quite comfortable at. Unfortunately, wasn't able to race last night due to work commitments. It's pretty much going to ruin my season, to be honest. I'm going to miss quite a few races, but I will be here for the commentary, so don't think you've got away lightly. You will have me here till the end of the season, droning on about Formula 1. So if you don't like it, press that mute button. Okay, so gap down, well, it's coming down to just under that second, but I don't think Hammers is too bothered, to be honest. He's more bothered about Jack in third position, because Daniel with that 3 second penalty, even if he gets past Hammers, I don't think Hammers is going to let him get 3 seconds clear. Obviously we'll use the DRS to his advantage and perhaps reclaim some ERS if he can, but then we would have a great battle going on between Hammers and Jack for the lead. Bit further back, Hummer back past brother Adam. Bogorowski still sitting on the back of these two. I think he's just praying they make a balls up, to be honest, and he can just drive straight past. But quite happy. Why have we got yellow? I think that may have been Skipper. Not 100% sure. We did have. Well, there was maybe a bit of contact there, but not 100% sure. So let's get back to the front. We are now starting the last lap of the race. The gap is down to half a second. So I think Daniel could well potentially win this on the track, but due to the penalty is going to drop down to... I think he'll still be in third position, so I think he will retain his podium, which, to be honest, is very, very fair. He has been probably the best driver out there today. So Jack now 1.6 seconds behind Daniel, so that gap's 2 seconds. If he could pull another second, he could keep himself in second position. Jack, I think, is struggling. But let's get back here. So Hammers in the lead. Daniel just closing in on the back of him, coming round Cops, so through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel for the last time in season 10. Wazza putting in the fast lap, 129.388 onto the Hangar Straight, and Daniel is indeed going to go for the lead, so he will cross the line first. So the potential that he could try and appeal the penalty, but until he does, we won't find out. But there we go. So he comes home in first, although drops to third position. So our race winner is Hammers. Jack Kazingle coming home in second position. Daniel rounding off the podium with a fine drive for third position. Brother Adam coming home in fourth. Hummer in fifth. There we got Bogorowski in sixth position. Havoc Corner in seventh. Eighth place goes to Ralph Albers. There we got F1 Johnny coming home in ninth. Pick up 2 points for his championship. And there he does cross the line. Then we've got Skipper coming across in the Sauber to finish 10th. And the last points finisher, Double, will bring his Haas home for 11th position. Then we've got Wazza and Kavolis closely behind, although both with penalties. So here we go, Double crossing the line now. Then we have Wazza coming across with oh, geez. That didn't look very good. Then Scully decides he's had enough and wants to give a bit of a late night to his Haas team, having to rebuild his car. So there we have the British Grand Prix, round number 7 in season 10. Our winner there is Hammers. And second place going to Kazingle. Third place to Daniel. So we'll just have a quick look at the results once they come up, so we can confirm them. I say unofficial, obviously there could be some stewards reports going in. We'll have to wait and see, but this will be the provisional results once they've all finished drinking their champagne. So here we go. Hammers bringing it home for the victory and 25 points. So a good day for him, 31 points in total. Let's get to the proper race ones. Yeah, so Hammers in first, Kazingle in second, Daniel bringing it home third, fourth goes to Brother Adam, fifth Hummer in sixth place, championship leader Bogrovsky in seventh place, Havoc Connor dropping from third on the grid down to seventh, but good recovery. Then we have Ralph, F1 Johnny, Skipper, Double, Kavolis, Composite, Wazza and Scully. Scully with 26 seconds of penalties, my goodness me. Right, well, that brings to a close the British Grand Prix around number 7. We will be back next week. Where are we next week? We are in Italy next week at Monza, so the home of speed, and we'll see who's going to be the quickest there. But interesting race today, some good racing. Congratulations to Hammers for taking the overall race victory, for Jack for second. Big shout out to Daniel, who I think has been the quickest driver of this race session, with a first and a third in the races and 2 pole positions as well. So thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you next week coming from Monza. So from myself, Nell, thank you ever so much for joining.